Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live stream of Chapter 2 cards. I'm here with Knive. Hello, Knive. It's
Hey, how's it going?
going great. So, if you guys are tuning in, this is the first time that you're tuning into Lorcata Cards. I'm Chris from Lorcata Cards. We are a husband and wife team. And so, Monday nights, we try to stream 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We're over here out in Florida, Mickey Mouse's backyard. So, we're excited. Chapter 2 is coming out, and we're gonna play some chapter 2 cards. I know Knives gonna go out and do a tournament that is not really near to him, but he's gonna do that this weekend. And then Jess and I are actually gonna do two different tournaments. One is going to be a sealed deck tournament, limited. First time we've ever done anything like this, so we're each gonna get 6 packs, make a 40 card deck, and play against everybody. So that's Friday the 17th, launch day of Chapter 2. And then Saturday, we're going to participate in a sealed deck tournament. So that's going to be we each get a Chapter 2 starter deck, and our store is going to give us an additional pack, and we can use the pack that's in the starter deck plus the extra pack to edit the deck how we need to. And we're going to play that. And so I think we're full now, and it's 48 people going to be that day. So it will be a longer
Oh wow,
evening. Yes. So it's going to be a great time. So we're excited for that.
absolutely. That sounds like a good time.
Oh yeah. The first time, a little bit of history when we can start. Imagine that way we can talk as we're doing
Yeah,
that. Um, we go to lab,
I think we go to custom.
custom. That's right, custom. Because lab will put you with anybody. All
Mm,
right. Let's put your name. Let's put Knive in there, lowercase.
lowercase
That way it's just
knife.
easier to type in there every time. And then we'll put
Lowercase
it
knife.
with no timers. That way, we can talk between turns and stuff, and we're not feeling
Yeah,
that pressure of oh no, we didn't activate that.
yeah, that sounds good.
All right, perfect. So yeah, you said it sounds like a good time. Yeah, so essentially, um, with 48 players, I mean, you have been playing Magic the Gathering for about 10 years, and you know more about this whole playing field than we do, even though we've come from like a Pokemon background, different card game. And
Yeah.
so, 48 players, can you educate the audience? How many rounds should that be?
So, see if I recall correctly, with the Lorcana tournament procedures, that's usually around 5 rounds, if my memory serves me right. And then they do a top eight.
So 5 rounds in the top eight. Okay. So essentially, it's going to start around 6 o'clock. So that
Oh,
means
you're gonna
that.
be. You're not getting home till tomorrow.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's usually what 11 o'clock, and then top eight could possibly go into 2 hours, depending on how slow the games are.
Yeah, it's generally a good idea to just think about an hour and 15 minutes for every round. You got about 50 minutes for the timer, and then um, just that little extra time for those that are running off, doing the rounds off.
That makes sense. Yeah. So it's like usually once the time goes off, then it's like what 5 turns or something like that. Whoever's last playing.
Yeah, it's so what happens is when the timer stops, whoever's turn it is, it's that person's turn zero, and so then they end their turn. Then the other person plays. That's turn one, turn two, turn three, turn four, turn five. And if there isn't a winner by the end of that, then generally it kind of depends on the tournament organizer. But um, what typically happens is if it's they're tied up, so like if it's a best of three and both players have won a game, it's a draw. And then if someone has won more games in the past, then they win. So the person
Okay.
that went 1-0, for example, they're in game two when time runs out, and that game doesn't end. Whoever won that first game would win.
Ah, okay. So it's always been more beneficial if you're already doing great progress in the tournament.
Yeah, so generally you want to win every game that you can, but if you have if you have a slower, more methodical deck, such as the Ruby Amethyst deck, that's kind of been one of the big two-headed giants for the constructed league or for the constructed meta for this game, then you generally want to win game one, so that way you don't feel the pressure of trying to win two straight games with a very slow deck.
Yes, I agree. So, one of the things that I'm hoping, so here's the thing. So, we're all hyped on chapter two, but we're also feeling the pressure that is launching on Friday. And so, I think, at least me, since I mainly am the big talker of the relationship and I'm the one that does really all these videos and the live streams. I'm like, how many days left do I have to produce chapter one content for it to be more relevant, right? And so I'm like, well, I only have a couple days left. And
Mm-hmm.
so one of the videos I've been wanting to do, I just haven't had the time, is why I feel that sapphire, not sapphire, amethyst and ruby are the worst tournament decks, and it's because of their slowness. Like one, to a certain point, they're not that entertaining. Everyone already knows what to expect from them. There's nothing different. It's just like, okay, who's gonna get the what card first? And I would specify that in the sense of mirror decks because why kind of drag your opponent along or bore the audience who's ever watching the live stream for whatever reason because the games are long and it's like, oh my goodness. And I will say I want to get the video out because then I'm going to make a second, or in that video I would talk about why it would be a more entertaining and better deck, and chapter 2 has answered that. One of the answers to that I believe would be Shere Khan, or however you pronounce his name,
Mm-hmm.
because that alone, if you're in a mirror deck, can make you just win just like that. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're playing one offs a while after like turn seven. You're not playing like three cards on the field usually on a mirror deck. But with him, if you're able to get him out early and get ahead on some of those lures, then I think it's going to speed up those mirror matches.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing from this second set is that games are going to go a lot faster across the board as the the new Ruby cards want to challenge, and through challenging, advancing their game plan, whether it's drawing cards or gaining drawing cards with Queen of Hearts or gaining lore with Shere Khan, or just getting some extra benefits with those win in a challenge effects. Another thing is with the Sorcerer Spellbook, there is now a visible sign of um, inevitability. A lot of people don't like watching the Ruby Amethyst mirror because it's difficult to kind of tell who's winning. But with the lore changing, as you see, like, oh, they have a spell book, that means they're going to get one lord. They got to respond to that somehow. And Ruby Amethyst doesn't have any item removal. So now you have to outrace that spell book.
That makes sense. Yep. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that because one of the conversations that we had earlier today was, okay, so for Jess and I, since we're going to be participating in our first sealed deck tournament. So it's 40 cards for anybody that doesn't know. 40 cards. I know you said in your videos a minimum of 40 cards, but I'm not sure if the store is going to make it like just 40 flat and not add an increase to it. Um, so we'll see, but it's going to be 40 cards.
Mhm.
You get 6 packs, and then as many ink colors as you want in there, so you can put a variety of different cards. So, if you could educate the audience a little bit, like what are you looking for in general, no matter what chapter we're in, the kind of numbers, like, oh, if you have a deck, or if you have a lot of ones and two cost characters, you should probably want this percentage of your deck to be like that. And then after you discuss that, if you can go into, if we're going to chapter two, what cards should we be playing in these sealed deck tournaments?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you mentioned, it's a 40 card deck. Let me actually pull up. I have been researching set two for most of the day. For those who don't know me, hi, I'm Knive. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Knives Nerd Corner. You should check me out after this stream. But I do a lot of limited stuff, and I'm a nerd about it. So let me pull up my fancy, handy dandy spreadsheet here. So generally, when you're looking at limited, a word that kind of flies across multiple TCGs is the word bread, as in like a loaf of bread. And that's kind of a very simplistic way for new players to build their limited decks or to draft a deck. And what that stands for is bombs, removal, evasion, aggro, and then D, it kind of depends on the game. Some call it dud, some call it draw, some call it delay. In Lorcana, I usually call it draw delay. And essentially, that's kind of how you rank the cards in your pool. So with sealed, you're opening up your 6 packs. Those are the cards you're getting no matter what. So those are the decks you have to go with, or those are the cards you have to go with. And with bread, you can kind of sort out your cards that way. So what I mean by bombs are cards that will change the game the moment they enter play. So, for example, in the first chapter, that would be cards like Tinkerbell Giant Fairy, Be Prepared, Elsa Spirit of Winter, Aladdin Heroic Outlaw. Cards that go, hey, if you're not going to deal with me in any way, I'm going to win the game by myself. And so those are the cards that you definitely want in your deck because you want to win the game. These cards are the quickest and most straightforward way to do that. The second thing you want to look at is your removal. So you have your cards that are going to win you the game. Your opponent's going to have cards that are going to win them the game. You need to take care of their bombs. And you do that with removal. In Lorcana, that comes in the way of banishing. So for the first chapter, examples of that would have been Dragonfire, which just straight up said banish chosen character. Some other cards such as Smash that dealt damage and could take out smaller characters. And characters that were able to do surprise challenges with Rush, such as Rafiki, were also really good because if your opponent wasn't expecting that challenge, you could easily do a 2-for-1, which basically means they're giving up two cards and you're giving up 1 card in the whole interaction. And so that's just a large amount of value. And so with that second tier, you're going removal rush. You can go ahead and play, Cris, if you want.
Oh yeah, I was just
Yeah.
listening, getting all that knowledge in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. So then the E in bread stands for evasion. In Lorcana, that takes the form of evasive. So you want to put a bunch of evasive characters into your deck. You also want ways to deal with evasive characters. So in the first chapter, there were a couple cards that had evasive on your turn. So that meant that they could challenge your opponent's evasive characters. Those kind of count in here. But generally, in the first chapter, you wanted like Jetsams, Tinkerbell, Most Helpful, Pongo. Pongo and Goofy were the big examples for that. And then aggro. So in other TCGs, aggro kind of means like big bodies. Because in those games, generally, the bigger the body, the quicker it is to win. In Lorcana, it's a bit different because we have the lore system. And so when I'm looking at aggro cards in Lorcana, I'm thinking about cards that have more lore than they typically have in their cost. So something like Lilo making a wish, something like Mufasa, King of the Pride Lands. Things that will get you more lore than other cards at their cost. That would be aggro. And then finally, draw delay. These are cards that don't necessarily fit into bombs, removal, evasion, or aggro, but are still very useful. Cards like Friends on the Other Side that draw you cards to find your answers. Maleficent Sorceress is another example of that. Delay, so bodyguard cards like Simba, Protective Cub, or Hercules True Hero, I would put into that spot as well. And so that was kind of how I looked through all of that. You forgot about the resist. And
Oh, I didn't. Oh, so you did the mouse armor before? Is that what
yep.
you did?
Yeah, I
Okay,
put mouse
okay.
armor on the snake.
Nice.
Yeah, Pixelborn, I think I'm gonna let Pixelborn know, like, hey, there needs to be some sort of signifier for resist.
Yeah, because yeah, if not, you're like, wait, what's happening?
Exactly. Um, and then, so where was I? Yeah, so that's generally how I thought through the first chapter, and uh, it kind of translates pretty well over to Rise of the Floodborn. With bombs, you have cards like Grand Pobby, Madam Mim, the Purple Dragon, Beast Relentless is definitely a bomb. Cinderella Stouthearted, and Cheshire Cat, or Cheshire Cat from the Shadows. Those are cards that I really consider rare bombs. A lot of the legendary and super rare cards in this set are good and limited. There's only one or two that I would say are actively bad in limited. Those being Basil and the Queen disguised.
Okay.
But the rest are usually the rest are just going to be really good, which is a good sign that there's a lot of bombs, because if there's a lot of bombs in a limited set, that means that there's a lot less variance in power level. So what that essentially means is if you open up 4 bombs and I open up 4 bombs, then we're kind of pretty even. But in some sets where there's not that much there's not that many bombs in it, and it's kind of difficult to find a bomb. What can happen is someone gets one of those bombs and just uh, takes over the entire night because they're the only one that got a bomb. So with Rise of the Floodborn, there being multiple bombs is a really good sign. I already inked this turn. With removal, there's a lot less removal, or a lot less premium removal for Rise of the Floodborn. You had cards like Dragonfire and Smash in the previous set that were really good at taking out characters. With Rise of the Floodborn, the removal packages aren't that great unless you can get damage. So you have Ring the Bell that banishes a damaged character, Last Stand, a character that banishes a challenged character. There also isn't that many rush characters. There's not that many characters with rush. And so um, finding a way to grant rush with the Croquet Mallet might be something to consider whenever you're looking at your sealed pool for Rise of the Floodborn. Madam Mim Fox is probably the best rush card in the set, and even then it's not the best, but it will do it. It will do the job. For evasion, I mean, you look at the evasives in the set. You got Ray, easygoing but Firefly. You got Minnie Mouse, both two of the 3 Minnie Mice. Yeah, two of the 3. The Surfer and the Diver. There is a song, You Can Fly, that grants one of your characters evasive for the turn cycle. And if you want to take out your opponent's evasive characters, Lee Shane, archery instructor, is an uncommon. So you might be able to open one of those up, make all your characters evasive for the turn on his quest, and so that can kind of throw a person off their game plan that way. And then for aggro, like I said, cards that have more lore than cards their cost typically have. but you don't want to make it to where they have too big of a discrepancy. So the Pinocchio that costs 2 and has 3 lore, but is a 1/1. I would suggest I wouldn't necessarily play that unless I had a pretty good reason to. Um, but something like Caterpillar, Calm and Collected, that has more willpower and has 3 lore on a 3 cost body is pretty good as well. Enchantress kind of punishes players for challenging her. Um, that's all I can think of on the top of my head for the aggro. And then just for the draw delay, uh, most of the rest of the cards do that. There's a lot of cantrips in this set. Cantrips being cheap action cards that draw cards. So cards like Improvised, Nothing to Hide. Hypnotize is technically a cantrip, but it costs 3. So some people would debate on whether or not that's a cantrip. But the point is, like, if you have 3 or 4 of those cards that say draw a card, it makes your deck feel a lot smaller, which means you can get to your bombs quicker, which means you can win the game quicker. And so that's kind of the over branching of B.R.E.A.D for Rise of the Floodborn.
Okay. Thank you so much. No, that was fantastic. I couldn't have said better myself, literally, because okay, so for us, Lorcata cards, we have not researched most of these cards before the last couple of weeks because in general in our lives we try not to be spoiled with anything, video games, movies. So when we see like a Marvel trailer at the theaters, we're like closing our eyes and shutting our ears because we really don't want to miss anything because now trailers spoil everything and it's like what's the point of even spending the money to watch the movie, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the last 2 weeks I've been trying to really flush my brain with all of this information. And so, yeah, you definitely have all the knowledge and the research. So, you guys, if you have not subscribed to his YouTube channel, Knives Nerd Corner, check it out. You can do it right now during the stream. That way it's fresh in your memory because he has some great knowledge, especially with starter deck tournaments. There's going to be quite a few happening this weekend. There's going to be some draft tournaments happening. And not only now, but imagine next year when official Ravensburger has all those tournaments that he talked about, I'm sure they're going to push forward. Hey, this is how draft is going to work. These are these limited events. So please subscribe to him. Pay attention to all of his good advice. So yeah, thank you for all that. So now I know what to look forward to this weekend, and hopefully I can make a video once the weekend festivities end and say, hey, look, Jess and I we topped 4 at both of the tournaments. So that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. I do intend on putting a more detailed limited guide on my channel. I'm hoping to get it done before this weekend, before the release. Um, just a couple extra thoughts, a couple little tidbits that I found while looking through. I'm not going to share all my secrets on this stream.
Oh no, you can't do that. No. And I wouldn't want you either to, so that's awesome. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, check out his videos. Great content. Um, great guys. So right now we're playing with some chapter 2 cards. So essentially, I try to play as close as possible with the contents of the starter deck. Disney officially revealed all of it like midnight last night to this
Yeah.
morning. It's kind of like there was a period of time of a couple of hours, and so they allowed a couple of art like websites, like news, gaming websites, things like that, to release them. And so mine is pretty close to it, even though there's probably like 5 or 6 cards that shouldn't be in there. His he did some variations as well, and so it's interesting because yeah, he has 5 lore. Do you remember who went first?
I believe you did
Okay.
because you have more ink.
Oh, I have more ink. Okay. So
Just a reminder, since it has been a little bit, the goat has resist 1.
okay, the goat does have resist 1. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you
Just
for that. Yeah, because there's no
yeah,
symbol or nothing, so
exactly.
I would not
So
have
yep.
known. Perfect. Okay, so the goat has that. All right, so you could do that, and then
Yeah, I am playing with a little bit of a variation of the um, Amethyst Steel starter deck as well. Um, they didn't have Pixelborn doesn't have all the cards yet, but that's okay. Um, what I did was they had a Tiano waitress, which was a snowman, which is kind of a blanket term for a one cost 1/3 with one lore. And so I kind of just replaced her with Olaf. And I kind of tried to do a similar thing with everything else in the set.
Okay.
Oh, Challenger 3.
Yes.
Cool. Nice, nice. Okay.
So that makes sense why you went with Olaf. Okay, yes, because I did see that. So blanket character, is that like a vanilla character, like in a lot of other games?
Yeah, so like a blanket term, so it's just like a slain. It's just slain. So like yeah, so the 1/3s for ones, I call them snowmen because Olaf was the first one of his kind to be revealed for that. Some people call the one cost 2/2s flounders.
Okay.
Just like little, yeah, just little things like that is a little bit of jargon to kind of help communicate more efficiently. Let's see here. Did I ink this turn? I have not inked this turn. So let's do that. Draw a card. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's fancy. If only I had that. So we'll do that. And then let's see. Olaf has the armor. We'll quest with the squirrel. Let's play another Jafar.
Okay, that's scary.
Yeah. I really like the uncommon Floodborn. This is so Rise of the Floodborn is introducing the uncommon Floodborn. All the Floodborn in the first set were rare or higher. And I really like these. They're less powerful, but they're still strong enough to where you want to play them. And it means that we have more Floodborn in Limited, which I am more than happy to have. And you destroyed my armor.
I did. Now, okay, audience, there is not this beast in there in the starter deck. Again, I was just editing cards because there is a beast that comes in it, but they don't have it on Pixelborn. So I just put this one.
Yeah.
Obviously, kind
Well,
of a cheap move
yeah.
because he kept doing resistance. So I was like, I
Yeah.
just need to get rid of it.
Um, there is a card in the Amber Steel starter deck that has the destroy or banish an item. It's Raya. It's Raya's dad. I can't remember his name.
Benjin or Ben something.
Yeah, he when he enters play, he banishes a character. Banishes an item.
Oh,
So it is it's not so it that's what you would do with him in this kind of mirror match is to destroy the armor.
oh, okay.
Because if I recall correctly, the mouse armor is the only armor in this starter deck.
A little bit of data on my end because how I told you I like data is that I did a survey. I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah.
you saw the survey on Twitter. I posted, all right guys, whoever's participating in I did it last week. Whoever's participating in starter deck tournaments next week, what are you going to be playing? And most people responded Amethyst Steel,
Mm-hmm.
purple gray. And so it makes sense because one, if you have this card that if you're able to top deck it or whatever and protect your people for most of the game, you might just win because if nobody can get through. So yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
resist is really strong. There aren't that many bodyguards. In fact, I think there's only the prince. And I think there's only two of them in the starter deck. But with um I mean that bodyguard just might be enough to protect your Mims and Merlins.
Oh,
Um I think I like this one over the Amber Sapphire deck as well from a gameplay style. That's just I really like the Madam Mim Merlin interactions. Yeah. The Not to say that there's anything wrong with the Amber Sapphire deck. The Amber Sapphire deck doesn't really fit my playstyle. You need a lot. It's a lot of typal stuff. So um, almost a third of the Amber Sapphire deck is the Seven Dwarves and their interactions with each other. And I'm just not generally a fan of that. I say kind of hypocritically, as I just said, I like Merlin and Madam Mim. Uh, but it's the Merlin Madam Mim is more of my playstyle, where it's kind of bounce effects and combinations and kind of outsmarting the opponent in that way. And
Yeah, I like playing it. I know that Pixelborn has been glitching with the dwarves and Snow White, and so I
mm-hmm.
get it that unfortunately that's what's happening. But I will say that supposedly, so I was watching. Do you subscribe to Steadfast's videos?
So I unfortunately don't get to watch a lot of content creators. Um, it's There's just so many of them out there, and all of them are just great. I haven't gotten to see Steadfast stuff. I know he's very good at what he does.
Yes, he reminds me a lot of you, like calm, methodical. Like I've done my research. This is why I believe this strategy will work. These are the different meta decks, and the same way you were breaking down bread, he'll break down different things of that nature. And so he does this video about, are the dwarves broken? Because
Mm,
there's a certain combination of them, and in
hmm
particular, so let's say you go into a starter deck tournament and you're able to pull certain cards from your pack. He says,
Snow White.
yeah, if you get Snow White, there's the oddest thing. Why isn't Snow White inside of the starter deck? That doesn't make.
So, so it's the same reason that there's only one Merlin Rabbit in this deck. It's because they're designed to be balanced against each other, and um, they have to make sure that the starter decks aren't fully optimized, because what that does is it allows the consumer to see the rest of the set and go, "Oh my gosh, I really like these dwarves. I wonder what I can do to make this dwarf deck cooler." Wait, are you telling me there's a card that makes all of my dwarfs cheaper? That's really cool. And then that kind of creates that cycle and kind of starts that joy, the joy of deck building.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I totally respect that process. I just thought it was interesting because it's like the queen's on the front. You have literally every dwarf in there, but then you decide not to put. And here's the thing: there's a couple of Snow White, so that's why I was like, man,
hmm
I thought they would at least put a random Snow White, even if it wasn't that special Snow White,
hmm
because then it's like, okay. But hey, I mean, everybody has their reasoning, and yeah, they have to make sales at the end of the day. They're not
Oh yeah,
truly in the interest of our needs. They have to make sure they get sales and then also please us to a certain extent. So I do get
yeah.
that.
There's there. I mean, so there's a lot of people play TCGs for different reasons. One group plays competitively. One group does it for like the lore. Kind of think like your Matt Pat game theory people. Uh, People that kind of like want to just like learn every little bit of the story. And some people really like the deck building part, as in like they don't even play sometimes they don't even play the game, they just build decks. Let's see. Boop.
Yeah, some people just literally collect it like all this. I'm a huge Disney fan, or like I really like the art on all these cards. Let me see what
Mm-hmm.
I can do.
Oh yeah. And like e- every everything that Lorcana does, it appeals to each person differently. And like I
Right.
completely understand how the um the for lack of a better term optimizers of Lorcana, the Lorcana community, the people are like, okay, I want to build the best deck and I want to play the best deck. I can see why they're a bit upset with, or not upset, but like a little bummed or confused about the like lack of Snow White in the uh, Amber Sapphire, or a lack of Nick Wild in the Amber Sapphire, because you have popsicles and you don't have Nick Wild that interacts very well with the popsicles. Actually mentions them by name, and um, it's a combination of balance and introducing the idea of deck building for those consumers.
I like that. And what I really like about chapter two is I feel like there's gonna be so many varieties of decks. Not only chapter two only decks, but when you combine it with chapter one, there's gonna be so many different combinations that I think no longer you're gonna see like a top four be almost same decks or top eight. I think you're gonna get all the way down to like top 16, top 32. People are gonna be looking out as far as that low, like wow, all of these decks could have made it to top eight. The person just ended up just either having a bad hand or whatever. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
people are just going to see like, okay, here are 10 decks that you need to play to win tournaments. I think there's literally going to be countless options because there's just so many great combos. Like we like to call things lore combos. So, you have all of these bounce cards, and then you have, Shere Khan. Then you have Grand Pappy, and you could just mix and match. And then when you mix like the two Rapunzels from chapter one and two together, like that's a whole little combo right there. You're
Mm-hmm.
healing, you're drawing, you're doing all this crazy stuff, and so you're making things happen. And so I'm very excited where things are going because I feel like now you really can play and win and not feel pressure to have a $250 deck in order to win tournaments. I feel like now you're going to be able to afford them a little bit better.
Yeah. Um, I went to a 1K about halfway through uh this about halfway through this season or set or whatever you want to call it, and um I played the deck that I built at Gen Con, Amber Steel Songs, which turned out to be the best deck in the set. And uh there was a good number of the same decks there, and there were a couple Ruby Amethyst decks and all that, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but essentially what happened was there's just meta decks, and I think you're right. I think we're going to see a shift in the meta. Um, Usually there's only about 4 or 5 decks that find their way to the top, but usually there's different levels. So like you could get some what are called silver bullets, um, decks that beat certain other meta decks. What are we thinking for this game?
I just wanted to try out the dwarves one, and then after that
Yeah,
we can switch it up to our usual decks, or at least my
yeah,
usual decks. I have a lot of chapter one decks.
yeah. That sounds good. All right, I will play the Amethyst starter mod again.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how um I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but I'm excited. Um, I'm gonna keep playing Amber Steel because if you'll let me play it on this next game, it gets kind of scary really quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. Feel free to do that. Oh, and you keep calling it Amber Steel. You mean Amethyst Steel?
No, I mean Amber Steel. The deck that or so the deck that I make, the deck that I'm currently playing is uh the the one that I'm okay. The one that I'm currently playing on the stream is Amethyst Steel. The one that like my main deck that I play IRL is Amber Steel.
Oh, because of the Steel song.
Yeah, Steel Song.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I created Steel Song.
Nice. All right, all credit to Knife. I'm gonna give him I'm gonna name a constellation in your honor. So stay tuned for like the certificate of authentication or whatever it's called, authenticity in the mail.
Authenticity.
Is alrighty. All right, let's have some fun here.
Do. Llama.
Oh yeah, no, definitely play next game. I mean, like I had asked you, I was like, hey, do you want to just play like an hour or so? Like I have no I was gonna try to play with B.R.E.A.D but he gets to do some other things tonight and he's gonna get
Mm.
on later. But that's
Yeah.
after I need to stop because of course we're adults, right? We work. So um
What?
yeah. What's that? Uh
What is work?
yeah, what is work? So what do you do for a living if you don't mind sharing?
uh, I'm a data analyst.
Oh, doesn't surprise me, Batman. Bruce Wayne over there. Oh man. It's like by daytime and by nighttime.
Yep, for real.
That's funny. That
hmm
that that gave me a good chuckle there.
But yeah, I'm a data analyst.
Okay.
Won't say where or for who because you'll know who I work for. But uh, yep, I just make sure people know what they're supposed to know.
Awesome. Do
Dude.
you have any cons about being a data analyst in general, not specific to
Mm.
your employer, but just like, man, this is one aspect of being a data analyst that I don't like.
Uh, there are still a lot of people in this world that aren't confident with statistics and with the field that I'm in, which kind of sounds weird, but especially older generations and people in that demographic tend to be people higher up. And so that's kind of where it clashes where it's like, hey, this is what the data says, and they respond with, well, that's not what my gut goes with. And so now we have to enter this kind of interaction of data and gut feel and all that jazz. But there really isn't much. I love being a data analyst. Um, I mean, I do it during my downtime. Uh,
Yeah.
but and I misplayed a little bit there, but that's okay.
That's all
Should have
right.
should have put the armor on Lilo before bopping.
Popping. Okay.
Bop.
Let's see. What are we gonna do here? That.
Dopey.
That's right, little dopey.
Little dopey.
Yeah, it's interesting because my wife, she says because she doesn't play a lot with steel decks in general at League and stuff. She's like, I'm going for the Amethyst steel deck, and I'm thinking, oh, well, that's a good choice. After doing my research, that she'll probably enjoy that one and have more success. Where, yeah, the dwarves without that Snow White, and I didn't mulligan in my hand. I thought I was a good hand, but I'm still learning as to like what's a mulligan in these starter decks. Because it's like,
Oh yeah.
okay, should I have mulligan that or should I not have mulligan that?
I think if someone gets the Amber Sapphire deck for the starter deck challenge and opens up that um, Snow White unexpected house guest, it's going to be a completely different game for them.
Right. What's another card that could be a game changer? My thought was because I'm gonna make a video too that talks about some of my tips that I know might work with
Mm-hmm.
obviously being more novice than Knife, um, which that should be a T-shirt.
More
Novice than
novice than
Knife,
Knive.
more novice. Oh man. But yeah, my thought would be if there's a card that is a decent card in your starter deck and only runs three, hopefully you'll get that fourth one, and then you just get
Mm-hmm.
increased probability that you'll get it during your match.
Yeah. Um. See a couple cards. So with starter deck challenges, usually you're allowed to put any color into your deck. At least that's how it's presented from Lorcana themselves. Um, but I'll try to stick within colors. Um, see, all 4 legendaries would be great. Um, the Mufasa, the Snow White, the Alice, and the Sisu. Those would all be really good. Um, those would be good additions. Any artifact interaction, you do have a decent number of artifacts, or sorry, items. Um, my magic is showing. Uh, um, let's see. Yeah, item interaction would be helpful, and just items in general. Um, I really haven't gotten to play with the starter decks that much yet, so I can't really say like, ah, oh, yes, you do this and this and this. Um,
Like I would hope for me personally, if I'm playing, regardless if it's Amethyst, Steel, or if I'm playing Sapphire Amber, I would want another mouse armor because I think the starter deck only comes with three. And even if you're playing Amber Sapphire, it'd be nice to draw it early
oh
game
my goodness,
because
Mouse Armor is insane.
it's insane.
It's like playing with it just now tonight. Like it's definitely bumped up in stock for me, and it's an uncommon, so you'll probably see it. Um, Pop quiz: where is Mouse Armor from?
Let me look at it really quick. See, it doesn't look too familiar, and obviously that little symbol on the shield looks like a lore symbol. Um,
It is
okay, can
from
you
a
can you
movie.
give me a decade, and
A
maybe I can.
decade. Yeah, let me look that up. Which decade it was?
Because I'm a '90s kid, so
80s.
from the '80s. It, I want to say it's probably not right, but the Three Musketeers or Mouseketeers, where like Donald and all them were from.
Nope, that's incorrect. It is from The Great Mouse Detective.
Ah, so a little subtle hidden Mickey.
Yeah, if you watch The Great Mouse Detective in Basil's lounge, there is a set of mouse armor,
Oh,
and it's a blink and you miss it little thing, but that just shows how deep Lorcana can go to add cards
wow.
to this game. If they can make that little that niche of a reference and make a card like that, ooh, 4 dozen eggs, that's good.
Yeah, that's very interesting right there.
I'm kind of scared on what 5 dozen eggs will do.
It just gives you more
It gives you
protection.
resist 3.
Yeah, which I like the fact that the it gives it to you until the end of your turn. So that means that you can attack me, but I still have it. So that's nice.
Yeah. So he still has resist 2.
Yes.
Wait, is he always a 5/4?
Um, I don't remember. I know it says your other saboteurs. Yes, that wouldn't do anything. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, hold on.
Oh no, it's because of
Because
fast
it's because of Dopey.
Dopey. Yes, Dopey gives them two
Plus
extra
2
strength,
until the start of your next turn.
which I just
Yeah,
realized
no.
that's a cool little combo because in a situation where you're like you attack and then you don't have anybody left but other dwarves, if
Hmm.
you try to attack me instead of questing, it's like, oh, is it worth it?
Yeah, because like right now, Grumpy is a 5/4 with resist 2. And I'm just like, let's not. Let's just go a questing.
You got a
Oh, a
good little
questing we will go.
you got a good little question thing. Yeah, like I said, it's I didn't edit it today. Like this is still the same Sapphire Amber deck that I made 2 days ago, I believe. So there's
Hmm.
cards that could have made it a little bit more consistent, but um, still not exactly where I would want it to be because it has a lot of bigger characters, and it's like, well, don't really need bigger characters right now. Let's see, so I can ink that. Like, there's no rush in this deck, unlike your deck. So that's kind of a
Yeah,
miss right there.
yeah. Like I said, there really isn't that much rush in Rise of the Floodborn, and there's not that many bodyguards either. So in limited, what that tells me is most of the time it's going to be very upfront with each other. There's going to be very little. There's not going to be much trickery.
Right.
Um, which some people like that in a format, some people don't like that. Um, if you don't like that in a format, then that's perfectly fine. I'm not a fan of it. I like it when there's like some shenaniganery that you can do. Um, which is probably why I like the Madam Mim Merlin stuff, but I don't think you're going to be able to get that to work in limited.
Right.
Do to
Okay.
do. All right.
Yeah, your deck obviously is more consistent. All right,
It
so let's
is.
let's even the
Yeah.
playing field here.
Cool. What power level are we talking here?
Oh, I don't know much about power levels. I'll tell you a few different decks that I have. Like I call them my own names, so they're my own inventions with
Cool.
variations of like what have been meta decks essentially. So
Okay.
however you want to call them. So I'll just read a couple of names to you, and you can decide the power level. So I do have an aggro mid range steel song deck. Um, your traditional, I guess it's traditional. I don't know when the last time I adjusted it. A hyper control deck.
Ooh.
Um, I have one that I call lore lose control. It's
Okay.
ruby and emerald.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I have three different princess decks, which have their own kind of little twist. So
Nice.
I have Sapphire Amber Princess, Amber Ruby Red
Cool.
Princess. That's what I call that one.
I
And
will
then,
be right back.
yeah, sure. Oh, I've had that. All right, so thanks everybody
Almost
for
lost my
watching.
wedding
So
ring. Okay.
you can't lose the wedding ring.
Nope.
Got
Okay.
got excited there.
I will play my Steel Song deck that I've been working on, so you can do what you want with that.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's do one of my favorites, my Red Princess deck.
Ooh, some Milan action.
Maybe. Well, I'm excited. So, okay, here's the oddest thing that I've ever seen, at least in Lorcana. I don't know how it is in other card games, but my wife and I were like, this doesn't make sense. The official ruling from Ravensburger is that you can't quest and activate Mulan's, or not Mulan, Moana's move twice. You know, there has to be
Yeah.
only one that's activated. And
Yes.
so I just think it was very weird that how they wrote the card, you know. And I'm like, and I felt like that was that way with a lot of chapter one cards. It's like you could have used a slightly different adjective or verb or something there because it can be really, oh, is it this or is it that? So
Yeah.
what I'm liking about chapter two is now there's some other unique opportunities to make an even better princess deck or even multiple versions of princess deck. So I'm looking forward to like how we can take my wife's like current Moana deck and enhancing it because it's interesting. People will argue to death, oh yeah, well you can't activate her ability twice. Yes. But no one ever talks about go ahead and just quest with her twice. You can quest with her twice. You quest with the one, and then you quest with the other character. You just can only activate one. So
So actually, that's not what it does.
what do you mean?
uh,
What do you mean? Hold on. So you need to break
so
it down.
okay, so here's what happens. So when Moana quests, princesses cannot quest at all after her. Period. No matter whether you decide to ready all the princesses or not, they just can't quest for the rest of the turn.
So but why did they put? See, that's what I'm talking about, the adverbs and
Yeah,
all that.
right.
Why did they put like the or, like you may, or they? I don't think I have Moana in
Yeah,
this deck, so I can't show it to you physically.
yeah, I know. It's worded so weirdly and the ruling's so weird and it's the face of a starter deck and it's
I'm gonna look it up
but
real quick.
so the wording is whenever this character quests, you may ready other princess characters. Period. They can't quest for the rest of the turn. So it's whether or not you ready them, they cannot quest for the rest of this turn.
See, so they when they wrote the card, they shouldn't have put they can't quest for the rest of the turn because what they're when in normal English, right? Like we're all human beings. When you
Mm-hmm.
say they, you're associating it to the previous thing that happened. So
Yeah.
in the case of this, it would literally be only the ones you reset. But they should have changed it to um, no princesses can quest for this turn. All they had to do was put no princesses. Literally, they had the space. Look, if you look at the text,
Yeah.
well, okay, so my wife and I, so we're graphic designers.
Oh
So
yeah.
we look at these cards and we understand. So they literally could have put no princesses can quest for as a turn, and there would have been no issue because it's like, all right, fine. But because they put the they, then there's all these little legalities. Like, well, that means that
Yeah.
in general, nobody. So you're saying if I have two Moanas, I literally can only quest with one of them, right?
Yes. As soon as you quest with one Moana, the rest of your princesses cannot quest that turn.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a kind of a messed up card there. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's why I usually say that's why I kind of give the advice of like, look, if you're gonna play a princess deck, I suggest not playing Moana because
yeah.
she's just gonna overcomplicate it.
Yeah. That's no bueno. Oh, I didn't realize I had inked already. See, I make the bad habit. I get into talking, then I switch screens, I come back, and I think I ink, and then I play instead. So she should have won the ink, but oh well. That's life.
That's life.
Oh, this is a steel song, but this is chapter two version. Okay, I like it. I like it.
Yep, yep.
Okay. All right. Let's see what you're doing here. You're gonna do that. You're gonna do that. Oh, okay, no problem there. Never mind. I like sometimes when the mouse works haywire. It's like I'm trying to drag, and you're over here doing different things. Gotta slow you down just a little bit, just a tinge.
Yeah, it's fair.
All right, so you have three ink. Okay. See, because I don't, since I haven't played a lot with the newer cards, I'm still like trying to read them, figure them out. And
Hmm.
so this, I have this deck kind of memorized, my own deck. And so I'm like, okay, I know what I can do next. All right. Okay.
Hmm. Curiouser and curiouser.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that people are already leaking the enchanted cards. It's like, guys, can you at least wait until launch day? So like I haven't looked at any of them, so I don't know who's enchanted. I think I might have glimpsed
Oh
at one
yeah.
because I scrolled on Twitter. But yeah, I'm trying to be as spoiler free as possible. So if you happen to post, be like, hey, send me like a DM. Hey, by the way,
Oh yeah.
Chris, I'm
Don't look
about
at my posts.
don't look at my
Yeah.
post. I'm about to because so he checked this out. Okay, we haven't posted it on YouTube yet, but everybody that's listening, and to you, Knive, we opened up our sixth starter deck the other day, and we
Oh
pulled an
yeah.
enchanted. We pulled our first enchanted, and so if you are you on TikTok at all or anything?
I am not.
Okay, which is fine. That is not a problem. But if you are on TikTok, you'll see what we pulled. And so it was our first enchanted. And by the way, we also so you'll see we have three videos on there. And then we pulled our first Lilo. We never had a Lilo,
Yeah.
and we've never had call it? I've never pulled a legendary. We've never pulled a legendary. So you can see that if you want. I mean, you can. I'm sure you can watch TikTok videos even if you don't have an account. But
Yeah.
the reason that we haven't posted the YouTube one was because I wanted to make sure I got as many hits as possible. And so I'm like, okay, not yet. Can't do it quite yet. So, because I want to make sure it's a good cover photo picture.
Yeah.
And but once it does, then I'll do that and it'll have hits and stuff like that. So I'm excited for that, for where it's going. Um, yeah, that's kind of where we're at the moment is that it's posted on there, and yeah, so we want to be able to be surprised with chapter two. So our thought is we're gonna get so obviously I said we lived in Florida.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we're gonna be going to this kind of convention thing. It's called like MTN what's it? Not MT TCG. I get all my acronyms mixed up.
Yeah.
TCG Legends.
Okay.
And so that one is going to allow us to PSA is going to be there, so even though we're not going to be able to grade on site, we are going to be able to sorry, we're going to be able to send it out. So we're going to physically go to this convention, give the card to them, pay the fee, and then I don't know how long it takes to get it back, probably a couple months or so. But we're going to do that. So our hope is, so we have, because we both play a league, we were blessed with the opportunity that we get two booster boxes. So we were able to order two booster
Oh,
boxes.
nice.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh
Oh,
man.
I got that. Be prepared.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I forgot. So I'm over here talking. I'm not realizing Steel has Be Prepared.
Yep. Or has a whole new world. Yep.
I mean, yeah. Excellent. That was beautiful. Well, let's see. Oh, look, I do have Moana in this deck.
Moana.
What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
I am threatening victory.
Man. Okay. So let's
No,
do.
this deck can put out Cinderella Stouthearted on turn 3 and ready to quest or sing.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of scary. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because I was waiting to get the Be Prepared built up, and my Dragonfire is dangerous.
Yeah. I was confused on why you hit my Lilo with Dragonfire instead of my Tinkerbell.
Well, because I was like, I know she could. Well, because I was gonna be prepared to eventually, and so I
Yeah,
was like, I just needed to hit somebody, and I was like, well, I'll hit Lilo, because Tinkerbell. I was like, well, either way, it's gonna. I had nothing else to really back it up, and then you
that's
wipe
fair.
my hand, so I was like, oh, so just one of those where like, well, I had the choice. I'll just do Lilo.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh boy. It's not gonna help much, but I'm gonna try it anyways. There's a reason I
Yeah.
play Ariel here to try to be prepared, which I
Yeah.
did, but I don't have enough ink to
But
save.
now you don't have enough ink. Yep.
Man, good.
Yeah. No, this deck is nasty.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oof. Yeah,
Moana.
I definitely want to rematch you with it though. Yeah, that was cool because I didn't realize you were gonna have chapter two cards in here, so it's nice because I was watching. Oh, so Steadfast. We were talking about Steadfast earlier, and he was
Mm-hmm.
talking about or maybe it wasn't Steadfast. It might have been the Forbidden Mountain, and he was talking about like how good Cinderella is the shifted
Oh, she's
and
so good.
so good.
So you want a rematch?
Yeah, let's do the rematch with the same ones,
Cool.
and it doesn't matter to me what order we go in.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So yeah, everybody, you guys are watching. Uh, more Lorcata cards here, playing with knives, Nerds Corner. Has great content on YouTube. Great advice on what cards work with what. He plays a lot of limitless, so or limit,
Limited.
limited, limited.
Limited.
Yeah, limited. Just like novice knives. That's people that try to play against them. Oh man. Okay, so do a couple of those. That one.
This is interesting.
Yeah, let's get rid of four.
This is an interesting starting hand. Bork.
So I'm playing a Red Princess deck. Knive, he's playing a Steel Amber with Chapter 2 cards in it. So watch
Yeah.
out because he did some lore combos last turn. I mean, come on. Being able to technically top deck the whole new world without even using Ariel to get it or anything like that. Come
What if I were to say I had it the whole time?
on. Oh, that's even worse. You can't speak those words.
Never not have it.
Oh man.
Okay.
That is funny.
So yeah, I like this. Let's go Inkwell, Eric. Let's play a Cinderella.
So let's talk some predictions of
Sure.
chapter 3 based on cards
Ooh.
that have already come out. What do you think will come out? At least a couple of series. I mean, there's so many IP they can pull from, thousands of
Mm-hmm.
characters over the years. What do you think is going to be in chapter 3?
Oh goodness. Um. So story wise, what I think is what's going to happen story wise is that we're going to finally like head out into the Inklands. And so I think we're going to get like some sort of adventuring keyword of some kind. Maybe something that lets you look through your inkwell for something.
Hmm.
Um Maybe like something along the lines of search through your inkwell and reveal this character, uh return it to your hand or something.
Okay.
Cuz they can do a lot of interaction with the inkwell and they haven't gone to it yet, which I mean, they will eventually. I just don't know how soon they're going to do it. And I think we're going to get a common Floodborn in set 3.
Okay.
In terms of like what oh, thank you for writing that up for me. In terms of like what movies or properties, I haven't the slightest idea.
Hmm. So because you gave that take, so then I'll stick with movies and franchise and whatnot. I wish
Cool.
I would have had the data to make this more than just a speculation.
Oh yeah.
Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to see a pattern of like what the percentage was of prior to 90s movies and
Mhm.
then like what percentage was like essentially after 90s because I feel like 90s is a good spot for Disney movies in general and
Yeah.
Lorcana. So it's either before 90s or after 90s kind of thing. And so
That Renaissance area, yeah.
yeah, so I wanted it to do like a percentage, but I never did that. So I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. Because they've done Raya in chapter 2 and because they did Frozen in chapter 1, um, it's possible that I think they keep moving up. So like Frozen was older, Raya was
Mhm.
newer, so they're going to I think move up slightly before moving back again. So I think that there's going to be elementals, at least a
Element
couple of elementals.
from like the Pixar movie Elemental?
Yeah, and that's going to be like our initial introduction to Pixar.
Ooh.
So I think because think about it, one elementals. I mean, do you play video games too, or are you just like a card game player?
I play some games. I play some games.
Okay,
Not
so
too many though.
not too many, right? So with that being said, since you don't play too many games, um, the basic concept of most RPGs is that you have elements, right? Like you have
Yeah.
water, wind, earth, which Lorcana plays perfectly with that, even though they didn't go that direction. You can technically take different elements of what they are. And so I think it'd be a great concept to introduce. Okay, well, we got elements, right? So that's one thing. The other aspect would be um, because they don't want to overflow it with Pixar. I think they'll save the next Pixar, which would be going backwards again to chapter four, which now we're getting close to the 1 year anniversary. Chapter
Mm-hmm.
five should be the 1 year anniversary. So chapter four, I believe, will introduce Toy Story elements,
Ooh.
which they have a variety of things. They can get items pulled from the series, characters
Mm-hmm.
pulled from the cities. I mean, or from the characters pulled from the series, all that good stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of things that can happen.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Elemental's a bit too soon. Because they've had these sets designed for years at this point, and so and I we don't really have any evidence to support that they have like special insider knowledge of upcoming movies and stuff.
right.
Or else we would have 100% we would have had cards from Wish.
Ah,
I think if they had special information, we definitely would have had Wish cards in this set.
okay. So then, all right. So what I'm gonna do is I will switch up my elementals and put Wish as chapter three.
Okay.
Because it's Disney still, right? It's not Pixar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I
And
think that. Oh, go ahead.
and it's it's the 100th anniversary movie.
Yeah. Okay. So that even makes more sense. Okay, to kind of tie that in. Um. So yeah, with that being said, so you have we'll do Wish first. So Wish, and then in chapter four, we would introduce essentially our first Pixar moment. Um. Now I don't know what anniversaries Pixar have in general, Pixar movies and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be our first introduction into that. Um, because there's just so much to pull from with Pixar movies, and the art will lend itself perfectly to that. I think that's what they're gonna do. But my wife and I also have speculated about Onyx, and so we made a post. We
Onyx.
made a very funny post about it. Because if you notice, so like, do you have an iPhone or do you use Android phones?
I'm assuming it's an Android because it doesn't have the Apple phone symbol on it. I
There you go.
honestly have no idea.
No worries, no worries at all. So with that
No,
being,
my child.
no, I banished him. All right, all right, because I don't know what you got in your hand. So, anyways, yeah, so they might be on Android phones too. If you pull up your keyboard, all of the Lorcana colors are there. Like it's either circle shapes or square shapes. So you can see all the Lorcana colors, and I'm like, huh, look. So I did a thing where I just kind of like screenshotted it, and then I did like an arrow. I'm like, look, we got all the ink colors, but when's Onyx coming out? And then I put an example. I'm like, Onyx colors or Onyx cards. And then the trick with that is because they're so close to ink colors, you got to give them something special. So I'm like, well, it can be like a lot of card games where you can only have one or a couple of these in your deck. So the concept would be
Hmm.
you can have no more than two Onyx cards in your deck. And what they do is um, they actually remove ink from your opponent.
Ugh.
So remove because there's removal of lore and there's adding of lore, but there's no removal of ink. So that's one. The second thing, again, because you cannot have a lot of them in your deck, is that they leave your opponent's characters inked for longer. So I'm not sure yet if it's just one more turn longer or additional turn longer, or like maybe depending on how strong. Like if it's a 9 cost, oh, you better watch out for the 9 cost Onyx because, you know, as long as the character's on the field, your characters are wet and they're not going to do anything, you know. But I think that they're going to do something cool with Onyx. um, I don't know if they're gonna bring out opal because steel is technically a gray color, so they could do white with which would be opal. Um, but yeah, I think I really like the idea of like onyx ink and like what that would do.
Hmm.
So, what's your perspective? If they introduce the onyx color, what would that do?
Uh, so I well first let's oh okay. Yep. Uh let's see. I don't know. Like I kind of like the 6 ink and where we have it. But like if Onyx were to have an identity, let's see. Um I can't really think of anything. Like it can't it shouldn't be something that will absolutely like pause the game absolutely because everyone will have that, assumingly if it works the way that like you posited. And so like I don't know. I kind of just really like it the way it is.
with the 6 colors.
Yeah, with the 6 colors. I don't think they'll add if they add colors, it's not going to be like a generic colored. It's going to be a 7th one that will still follow the 2 inks rule. But again, I don't really think they need a 7th.
I mean, you tell that right to Pokemon years ago, where they had all the elements of these are the Pokemon, and then all of a sudden now there's all these types, and so the
Oh
cards
yeah.
ended up changing with it. Um, from what I understand too, with Magic the Gathering, there's cards that can be played in any deck. Is that correct?
Yeah, so those are yeah, so there are colorless cards. The difference is that there isn't a color restriction in Magic. Instead, what it is your resources create specific colors, and so it's just a vastly different resource system. The we could have a generic ink, maybe call it like inkless or whatever, but I don't think it's going to have a identity in its own, like because what what could happen is that identity becomes good, so good to the point that it's that's just everyone's playing that those specific cards, and that's going to up the price of those cards. um I don't know, I guess I'm not opposed to like a generic ink. I guess that's kind of what you're going for.
Hmm,
um I don't know.
that's a good point.
It's I don't think it's something that we need to think about for like the first 2 3 years. I mean, we're still trying to like look. They're still spoon feeding us different aspects of the game. Like they're spoon feeding us the idea of resist. They're spoon feeding us. We're still trying to understand what Floodborn are. Um, they've added extra item interaction. Um, the entire first set had nothing to do with the start step, and now we have a couple cards that do interact with the start step. And so I still think we're in that kind of easing into the game, developing it to where we can understand the complex aspects, and then they'll start going hard into complex concepts.
And I like where we're at now too. I like the fact of hey, it's not too crazy out there, and we're able to get a lot of great things out of it. I think that's one of the reasons my wife likes it. It doesn't get too complicated. Like you play with the cards you get in your hand. It's not like you're
Yeah.
searching for cards out because in
Yeah.
Pokemon, you have things like Ultra Balls and the different
Yeah.
types of items that you can search, and it just you play a lot faster, but the games do last longer too. And we like these games too because for the most part, most decks that we've played, they're quicker games.
Hmm.
It's not too bad.
Yeah. I like the game that it is. I don't want in Magic the term is tutors, which is looking through your deck for a specific card and putting it into your hand. I don't care for that stuff. Um, for this this game is meant for people ages 8 and up. Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it straightforward. At least for the first 20 years.
Right.
Maybe when things get bland in 2035, we can start adding, some crazy stuff. But
Ah, like that? Okay, I see what you're doing now.
Huh?
Little
What?
a little snake action with the emerald.
I have huh? What?
What?
No, I
What?
don't know. What? What?
I don't know what you're talking about. That's okay.
I'm just playing a card game,
All
Chris.
right, all right, all right. Is that what you're doing? That's why I gotta give some war to somebody. I gotta do
Do do
that.
do 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 do.
All right.
Prince Ali, yes it is.
One of my
Me.
favorite, probably my favorite card from chapter one. I just like the fact that low cost and Warden. I think now with chapter two, there's literally the main amount of ink cost for bringing a character out has been filled up. I mean, we're not trying to give
Mhm.
war to a character that's nine, but for the most part, the average number of characters that you'll bring out in a game, it's like a whole family now can be out on the field.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you can build a deck that's just no touchy.
That's it.
I don't know how good the deck will be because the cards with ward are typically understated, but oh, thank you for the lore, my friend.
Oh no no no
Oh no, never mind.
no! I saw that. I did not want to do that. You can go ahead and quest for one if you want. That's okay with me. Ah, um, this is one thing I would like to see. I would
Yeah,
like to see the okay. So it's piggybacking on what you said earlier. You're like you
yeah,
can see some kind of like adventuring concept,
yeah.
and so with that, um, I see the adventuring concept. Okay, so we have rush,
Hmm.
we have resist. So they will
Yep.
introduce, I believe, and I'm very confident in this data analytics side of it. They're going to introduce some kind of rush quest where the moment the character is on the field, it can quest the first turn. Now they technically have that with some of these cards in chapter two where like you don't really do anything and you get a lore, but I think that they will introduce that to kind of go with like, hey, we're traveling and all that. We're speedy. So like if we're introducing okay, is Wish officially out or does it come out this week?
Wish comes out on the week of Christmas, or not Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Okay, week of Thanksgiving. So not that I've
2 weeks.
seen trailers or anything of that nature, but
Hmm.
from your experience, have you seen a trailer?
I have. Yeah, I get the gist of the movie.
Okay, so is there any speedy characters in the movie?
Do rabbits count?
I guess a rabbit's fast. I don't see why not.
In that case, there are rabbits.
Okay. No, is it just rabbits on the side, or does it seem like there's gonna be like a main character kind of situation
I think the rabbits are there for the cute.
for the cute? Okay, so I'm thinking more like a Lorcana character because my
Yeah.
concept would be like they're smart over there in Ravensburger land, so
Hmm.
they would associate an attribute with the character. So like we would have to figure out what is a fast character that could come out in chapter three that would benefit from something. And I came up with a term a couple months ago. I forgot what it was, but maybe it's just called simply. Um, it can't be that either. No, adventure. And so what
Yeah.
that little ability is yes, you immediately get to quest the moment that you play the character. Um,
My brain immediately goes to like the characters from Strange World.
okay, so you haven't seen that one yet. Okay,
Yeah, it's like yeah, they're not necessarily fast, but like they're adventurers. Like they're going out on quests and adventuring. And
okay,
so that could be the vibe.
yeah, it could literally be like a whole archetype, or there's another word for it. But yeah, like what if all of them are like that? Like you play this character and he's a one cost version of it, or you play this other one, it's a four cost version of the same concept, and so maybe they're some of them are unequal, and that's how it balances out, right? Like you can't just have
Yeah.
somebody quest the moment you play them and then not have a counterbalance to that.
Can I win this turn?
Can you win this?
Nah. Not yet, but I can gain a lot of lore.
Do it. Do it. All right. My golly. That's a lot of shenanigans right there. Bounce. No. You didn't want to bounce my Aladdin?
I can't.
I know. I know. That's why I like him.
Ooh, nice shift.
That's why I like him. Because I got to slow you down a little bit. Slow you down just a little
That's why he's the GOAT.
bit. That's why he's the
But
rabbit.
that's not the GOAT, that's the rabbit.
um. Yeah. Okay. So that one's strange world.
Strange world.
Hmm.
Boop-a-doop.
So based on your experience with a lot of different card games and stuff, so do you think that they will do that? Release a card that will quest the first turn, or was that something that it probably won't exist in Lorcana?
I mean, it can exist in Lorcana. I think it would be a good ability. Um, because that would just be incredibly aggressive. But I could see it happening. I think it would be something like a 3-cost 2/2/1 with it.
Okay.
Um, like it won't be something that's gonna go like it's not gonna be like a Lilo that does it.
Right.
But no, I could see it being something. I can see it being a thing.
True. All right. Yeah. I can't have you do some. Can't have you do different shenanigans. Can't have you. Can't have
That's
you
why
jump.
he's the goat.
Can't have you jump up and down like that. Crazy stuff. And I just need just a little bit longer. See, this is my lore lose control deck.
Yeah.
Aha. Is that what you're doing? Oh, I see, says me. Okay. Intriguing. I guess I
Yeah,
lost that one.
the Merlin and Madam Mim like interactions. Like once you get like 4 rabbits, 4 goats, 4 foxes, 4 snakes, it gets pretty wild. And then you bippity boppity boo.
Man, that is no bueno. I mean, I gave you a little bit of a run there on that one.
Oh yeah, scared me for a bit.
Yeah, I can't really do much, so I'm just gonna da da da, and
Cool, cool.
then why not? Oh, we can do that.
Do doop
Yeah, and you got
doop.
a lot of ink there too. See, what I'm excited for? Okay, so I'm passionate about this deck that I made, Lore Lose Control. But the bad thing about Emerald cards up to this point has been no draw support because I really like the combo of Ruby Emerald. Well, I'm liking the new Emerald action card that allows you to draw a card. You not only get to
Yep,
power up a character, but you get to draw a card. And I'm like, yes, I've been
yep.
needing that.
Improvise. Yeah.
So that is what I'm hoping to edit this deck with. So that way I'm actually getting on every turn I can ink. That's the biggest slowdown of this deck is that you have to pick what am I inking and what am I playing versus other decks. You're more quicker and there's draw support, so you're like, okay, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. All right. I think I can do one more game.
Yep, I was gonna do the same thing as well. All
Cool,
right.
cool.
Oh, uh, all right. I'm gonna play the deck that I've played over 250 games with.
Oh goodness.
Oh wait, hold on. I went to lab. Did it go? Okay, it didn't hit play completely. I hit it and then it hit play, but I guess there was a delay, so it didn't go all the way through. I would have canceled it anyways. All right, so let's see. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but what's the most of a deck that you see on there? What's the most games that you've played?
Uh, uh can you say that again?
Yeah, I know it sounds confusing. So like there's numbers underneath your deck.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't play that much Pixelborn, really.
Okay.
So, the biggest number I have is 0.
That's funny. I mean, well, thank you. I'm honored that you took time out of your day to play
Oh,
Pixelborn,
yeah.
knowing that you don't play too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't gonna do much today anyway, so
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do much today, so it's okay.
I was just gonna make a video, just da 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 da. No,
I was just going to tally up some numbers, the usual.
all the numbers, indeed.
Oh, we just talked about that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
But I thought we don't talk about Bruno. No, no.
I cannot wait for that card,
I
actually.
cannot wait for the whole Encanto
The
set
whole
because
Encanto.
oh my
I
god.
th- like, how cool would it be if Bruno had an ability that, like, you drew a card if you ink him?
Oh,
Because you have to reveal a card to Inkwell.
interesting.
So if you reveal the card in Inkwell, there is a chance there for a trigger of some kind.
Yeah, because he's exclusive. He's not exclusive. Like reclusive. Like
Yeah, he's reclusive. Yeah.
he's had to have high. He's had to have hidden himself all those years. Man, tongue
Hmm.
twister. That is a good point right there. Don't disagree with you there.
Do 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 do
Yeah,
do
hey, just
do
let me
do.
know, or I mean, obviously you're gonna put a post when you have your newest YouTube videos up about
For sure.
all the different strategies for a limited, um, because I want to make sure I share it and all that good stuff. So, one of the things I do too is so I have like a triple account. So, um, I'm my first TV, and I'm also So Studios 2 or So Studios whatever.
Hmm.
And so that's part of the way I'm able to get a lot of times some good hits on Twitter is I'll post with Lorcata cards and I'll go in there quickly just for the algorithm case, just like and repost real quick, and then usually gets the word out pretty quick.
Hmm.
So when you post, I'll make sure I do that. I'll do that triple action with you, and you'll hopefully get a whole bunch of hits and stuff. All right, let's see here. I didn't even see. Okay, so you were inking Emerald. All right. So we can do that. Uh,
Simba. Ooh, interesting.
yeah. Ooh, another improvise. Oh, okay. I know what you're doing now. Okay, and I know what I need to do. Okay. This is not going to do anything good for me now. So I'm going to ink that, and then I'm going to do that.
No.
No.
Do, do, do.
Ooh. Okay. That falling down the rabbit hole is a fun card.
It is. It really is. It does not work with ward cards right now with Pixelborn.
Right, because yeah, gotta fix the glitch. All right, so we can do that. That. It's not strong enough yet. Can't do anything here with that. Hmm. Well, let's see here. What shall I do?
Boo doo 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 doo.
Well, do that. New. Wow.
Wow.
Definitely got some good lore combos going on there.
Eh,
All right.
what you got? What you got?
Well, this should be strong enough at least.
Mm.
All right. A little worried because you had that draw card. So what's the reason that you were inking the draw card, knowing that it could have benefited you earlier?
I needed ink.
Okay.
Sometimes that's just the answer.
Okay.
You just need ink.
Sure. Makes sense. I get it. I comprende. Yeah, I need you to go. Oh, don't go easy on me.
What are you talking about?
Just let me just destroy the Cusco.
I'm fine with that.
All right, all right.
I'm okay with
Okay, okay. Let's
that.
see. All right.
Cuscotopia.
Da, 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 da. What's another theory I have for the next? Or actually, no, I never really talked. I mean, we only briefly talked about like IPs and stuff. So it seems like they're doing a combination of modern movies and older
Oh
movies.
yeah, they're doing
So,
a very good mix.
so what I think,
Okay.
yeah, no,
So you have forgotten me is one of those cards that just absolutely destroys limited. Like we're talking like it's just brutal in limited.
yeah, I think one of your videos mentioned it that yeah, if you get that in limited, so what card would like, uh, what's I know you probably mentioned it earlier, but like, what's one card that if we pull that with the sealed 6 pack, we'd have to have that in our deck.
Ooh. Um. So I can't really think of one off the top of my head because like I said, most of the super rares and legendaries are good. Um, I like Croquet Mallet personally. I think it's a pretty good common. Since there isn't that much rush, you can just drop that down turn one, and with it being turn one, you could just set down there, and then for the rest of the game, you could just threaten a surprise challenge at any point in time. And even if you don't even use it, just the constant threat of it will make your opponent play around it.
Huh.
Um, so I like the mind games of the croquet mallet. I don't think it's a must pick though. Um, boo boo boo. You can't quest,
Okay.
and you can't quest.
Yeah, I forgot to quest last turn. Huh. Yeah, interesting. I had no answers for what you were doing. I'm like, this guy happening. That's kind of my what my mindset was. I'm like, what is going on? Oh, oh. But yeah, classic card. So let's see. Who made Fern Gully?
Who made Fern Gully?
Yeah, that movie. Is that a Disney movie?
I don't think so. Fern Gully, the film series. Fern Gully. Ferngully. Created by, produced by, music by production company. No, it's made like it's 20th century.
20th century. Okay. Um, but Anastasia's Disney, right?
Anastasia is now considered Disney. Um, well, I guess Ferngully is too now.
Oh, because
Um,
of the
because they bought 20th
20.
Century, but I think they're just I honestly think that at least for now, they're gonna stick to Walt Disney Animation Studios.
Okay, so my theory would be not that it makes sense with the whole adventuring concept you were talking about, but why not? Um, bring in either um, Hunchback of Notre Dame
Oh yeah,
or or
give me Hellfire. Give me Hellfire. Put it that word on a card, Disney.
probably not that far. They'll probably figure out another way to write that. Um, but the fact of there could be so much you can do with the characters and like Floodborns and all that. Same with like Yzma and the Cusco and all that, the Floodborns. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, there's different ways to do that. I feel like you can do that with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think if they don't go that route, Pocahontas definitely needs to be one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there's so many songs. And here's the
Oh
things that I figured out the other day. They're not just putting like a full song, like like you put a movie credit. They literally
yeah,
just
no,
take a lyric or
a
something and they
lyric.
say,
Yeah, they're doing lyrics.
so it's insane. So Pocahontas, like my wife and I were talking about it, so she came up with this idea of you play like um I'm gonna butcher the song. Something in the wind or something like that.
Colors of the Wind.
I think so. And
Can you
so
paint
that
with all the colors of the wind?
yes, I think that's it. And so something like when you play it, um, what would it be? Because it's talking about I think it talks about, the different races or whatever, like, hey, like why is it that we're fighting each other and stuff like that. So I was trying to think of something because this was weeks ago we had this conversation. It was something like when you played it, I don't know if it's like the next turn you had to only certain people could quest
Interesting.
or something, or you can only ink certain cards. I don't remember exactly what the thing was, but it was an interesting viewpoint on that. And so I think the more songs come out, it's just different, unique ways. Like, oh yeah, look, we can make you do this time. I mean, and it's like, wow, like who would have thought you would have healed a character and gained lore? Like, I wouldn't have thought about that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so much potential with this game, and it's going to be awesome.
I'm excited. Well, it's 9 o'clock, 9:05,
Yep, yep.
and I appreciate it so much.
Yeah,
Again, I don't
absolutely.
know what I'm assuming you're in America, so I don't know what state
Yeah,
you're in,
I'm
but
American. Yeehaw.
hopefully it's not too late for where you're at, and you get some
Nah.
good rest. But thank you guys in the audience out there, all
Yeah,
the
you guys
input.
are awesome.
Yes, you guys watched us play some chapter two, all sorts of different combos. It was a good time, and I'm not saying this has to be a weekly thing. It's up to you. However you want to play, whenever you want to play. We will be introducing. We did a survey out there, and it seemed like most people like the idea of a Tuesday stream because I
Ooh.
mentioned introducing either Thursday, Tuesday, and I think Friday as the second day because Saturdays right now are really not great for us, and then that's our
Mm.
league day, and so league
Oh
is
yeah.
always like 5 to 7 for league, and then tournaments 7 to whatever however many people
Yeah.
show up, and then Sunday we go to church, and
Hey.
and sometimes we're involved in like a group or something
Yeah.
afterwards, and so
Yeah.
because of that, it's really up in the air, and so I didn't want to overcommit ourselves, right? Because in the end, you have to balance your life,
Absolutely.
and so I think we're going to introduce Tuesday. I think
Cool.
we're going to do that, and so yeah, if you ever want to play in the future, we're on Twitter, so you can give me a quick little message and be like, hey, you want to do this? Because I'm always going to try to stream as much as possible. Like last week, I was sick, literally sick to
Ah.
my stomach, and I could not have the energy to stream. It was going to be worthless because I like to have the energy and the talking and the explaining and the tips, and no point in just watching somebody just play. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm just watching this person play. no, you should get entertained, I think. So
Yeah.
um, I'm excited. Anything you want to leave the audience with? Because the cool thing is, I leave this on Twitch the normal 7 days. We haven't reached 50 followers, unfortunately, yet. We will one day. So it's going to be on here 7 days, but I will upload this to YouTube. So it'll be permanent until Disney shuts us down or something. Uh, because that can happen.
It
And
could.
so, yeah, what would you like to leave people with that they
Yeah.
can come back to this video and access it and see what you got?
Yeah, so my name is Knife, Knives Nerd Corner on YouTube and the place formerly known as Twitter. And if you like draft, sealed, limited, pack cracking, anything like that, I'm the channel for you. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great night.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely subscribe to him. Uh, watch all of us great content creators for Lorcana. We're excited for chapter 2 is coming out this weekend, and I look forward to hearing and seeing some of your posts about how you do in the tournament.
Oh, for sure. And I'd love to see your decks whenever you guys build your sealed pools.
Oh yes, definitely. Definitely gonna look at your videos and double check all of our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed to make sure that we are successful.
Sounds good.
All right, Knife. Well, you have a great night and good night to everybody out there.
Goodbye.